Hello, my name is Maureen and I live at Breakfast Point. I grew up in Leichhardt and my story is about Crossing Parramatta Road. I was born during World War II. My father was a young serviceman who spent his war years in New Guinea. And on his return, my small family, moved to a small house in Leichhardt near Parramatta Road. Those post-war years were difficult ones. And for my family and for most people. There was post-war austerity and there were shortages of food and fuel. And of course my dad suffered from what we now know as post-war traumatic stress. So when it was time for me to start school, I was enrolled in Kegworth Public, which was just around the corner. I spent my first year there in a vacuum. I didn't have a clue what was going on. And I'm sure in those days, all the preparation, preschool and so on that kids have today, we didn't have it. I hated it. The second year, it was considered I was old enough to cross Parramatta Road. Of course, Harry the butcher helped me cross Parramatta Road, made sure that I didn't cross against the lights. We were Catholic, and that meant that my mother and father desired me to go to a Catholic school. Again, I was bewildered. I didn't have a clue in the huge classes what was going on. One day the teacher detected me copying my sums and gave me a quick quiz. She decided I was in the wrong class, and actually I was in the wrong class anyway. Somehow or other I'd been dropped off at the they didn't have an office, just at the door of the classroom, and I was put into the wrong class. So I found myself then, I was back in the class I should have been in. So Sister Frances Xavier was my saviour. And from then on, the veil literally fell off and I discovered the joy of learning. Years passed and it was time for me to go to another school. My parents now had 3 children and Dad worked 2 jobs and Mum took in sewing from the local dry cleaners. There was never enough money. However, the principal at the school I was going to, St Thomas's Lewisham, insisted that my parents sent me to Bethlehem College, which was well out of their reach, and also they thought it was out of their social class, because we were very working class and they thought I would become uppity if I went to Bethlehem College. Anyway, there I went, and with the help of a reduced fees, and later I won a bursary, my education continued. And my parents never objected then to me finishing school and matriculating and going to university. It must have been very bewildering for them because my father left school at 12, my mother at 14, and I was the first of all the grandchildren, 17 of us, to go to university. So as well as crossing Parramatta Road, it took me to another threshold where I was really not quite with my parents, but they were wonderful, they were supportive, they loved me and they wanted the best for me. And I have the photos that I brought. One of my kindergarten class, we didn't have many photos in those days, and one of me with my parents and my intended. We married soon after I graduated, and anyway, that's for me was the value of crossing Parramatta Road. So my grandmother had cut out of the paper all the little cuttings that had my school results, my university results, and after she died, they were all found in a drawer, and that really moved me very much because she wasn't a very warm grandmother, not the sort of grandmother that I hope I have now with my grandchildren. But she obviously loved how I had achieved, and she was very proud of me, as my parents were very proud of me. So crossing Parramatta Road for me opened up new horizons. It opened up the world, and in those days only 1% of working class women, when I went to university, attended university. And in time I met my husband, and we were able to give our daughters the same opportunities, and now our grandchildren. So that is my story, crossing Parramatta Road.